boy, today's topic is kind of a doozy. So I always wonder when I should put trigger warnings in front of things. Just assume that everything I ever do in the entire world has a trigger warning in front of it. Okay? And by the way, you are welcome to share your triggers with me as long as you do not make me responsible for them. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about something I have mentioned in passing a few times, but this is going to be a whole video on it. And we're going to be talking about the functions that we assign people. Yeah. Trust me. We all do this. Although I have to say, since I realized it, I've been doing it less and less. So what does this mean? The functions we assign people subconsciously, rarely letting them know, or even sometimes letting our conscious brain know that that's the function that we have assigned them. So we're going to start in a really sort of controversial place because we're going to start talking about the functions we assigned our parents. Now, in the beginning with your parents, we are all completely dependent on them for our very lives, right? And that's a fact. We can't feed ourselves. We can't keep ourselves warm or safe or dry or anything. And that is, so the original function that is actually in reality assigned to our parents is that of keeping us warm, safe, fed, and dry. So we literally need them to live, right? So here's where it gets tricky. As we get older, we start adding to that function that we've assigned them. And so as I'm talking about this, of course, as usual, I want you to be thinking about where you have done this, okay? So before I get into anything else having to do with parents, most of you should know by now that I am a big believer that our childhoods need to be witnessed. So for those of you who did not have parents who took care of your basic functions, especially who did not take care of your function of being safe, and maybe they were the one who hurt you or they were the one who allowed other people to hurt you. Before I go on any further, I want you to know that I am so sorry. Okay, truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry for all of us who were not kept safe as children. So this is not about saying that that is not a real function of parents. So I just want to put that out there. Love you guys. But what functions have we assigned our parents since then? Right? Because what happens is we get so bitter and angry that they are not fulfilling these functions. I can't tell you guys how many clients that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s whose parents are not even here on this planet anymore, in bodily form anyway, that are still bitter and unable to move forward because some function they assigned their parents was never fulfilled on. So what is it that you wish so much, even now, that your parents would do that they're not doing? And if they haven't done it so far, you guys, the chances of them doing it are not great. So maybe you've assigned your parents the function of giving you confidence, of supporting you either financially or emotionally as you are a grown-up, right? Is this a function that you've assigned your parents? Maybe you've assigned them the function of complimenting you, validating you. That's a really, really big function we assign our parents that we do subconsciously and maybe don't even let them know, but without even questioning, is that their actual function? And even if you still believe, yes, that is their function, if they're not doing it, it's just causing upset. So maybe in this way, we can just look to reality. Can we know for sure that that is their function? Right? I'm 49 years old. So as a 49-year-old, can I know for sure that it is my parents' function to validate me? No, I can't. Right? So, which by the way, my parents are pretty awesome at doing now. But I know there are many of you listening to that who do not have that, right? But can you forgive them the function you are still assigning them so that you can move forward? Can you see the difference between something that would be your preference and a function you've assigned? Okay, so let's go to another sort of triggery one, and that's romantic relationships. So, and this one actually is kind of across the board, but let's start with romantic relationships. One of the functions that we assign romantic relationships, subconsciously or sometimes consciously, is the function of making us feel better. Like we're not well, we don't like the way that we look, but we want our partner to compliment us and like the way that we look and tell us that all the time, right? That's a function that we've assigned them. Or we've assigned them the function of always being our emotional support anytime we need it, day or night, when they're sleeping, when they're working, when they have their own struggles and issues going on, but we've still assigned them the function of being our constant emotional support. And then we are upset when we don't get that, right? And some of us also assign our closest friends and family this function. I would say the function of wanting people to make us feel better is one of the most common ones that we assign. So when I speak about forgiveness, what I'm actually speaking to is forgiving others the function that we have assigned them. Okay, is this kind of starting to make sense? It's a new concept, so I really want to go into it from several different angles, but hopefully you're starting to see, oh my gosh, some of these are very hidden, and I think it would be so fascinating to speak them clearly, right? Can you imagine when you very first start dating someone, if you're like, okay, so here's the deal. What I'm looking for, and then you spill out all your subconscious expectations. What I'm looking for is someone to think I'm pretty, even when I'm putting myself down. What I'm looking for is someone to always drop everything that they have going on in their own lives to be there for me whenever I need them, even on a whim. What I'm looking for is somebody who completely forgives every single thing I've done in my past. But just so you know, I'm not willing to forgive yours. Just think how funny it would be and how clarifying it would be if we spoke all of our expectations, all of the functions we're assigning somebody, and then they spoke all of theirs to us. I can guarantee there are some past relationships that we would never have gotten into if we had heard the functions they were going to assign us, right? So part of this, you guys, is being able to see and realize the function that somebody else has assigned you. What are the functions other people have assigned you? Do you have a mom who has assigned you the function of making her look like a really good mom? Right? Do you have a husband or a wife who has assigned you the function of helping them feel like they even belong in this world? Like, this is a fascinating and very deep and unconscious thing that we're looking at. And one of my main gigs is to bring the unconscious to the conscious and let it rise so that you can actually take a look. Now, the reason we don't do this is because we don't always love what we see. When I really saw this concept, I was like, ew, what functions am I assigning my own children? Right? What functions am I assigning my romantic partner, my closest friends, my siblings, my parents? So I want to go into one from my own life that I just barely brought from the unconscious to the conscious and conscious and conscience, I guess. So my biological father, bless his heart, and I mean that, I really, really mean that, he's not well. And when I was a child, he was not able to financially support me and my sister and my mom. And I remember even as a child when I found out that other people got child support, that other people's families, their moms, the kids got child support, it was really upsetting to me because he never paid any child support. Well, what I didn't realize, I kept having this underlying feeling my whole life that somebody else should be taking care of me financially. Even when I was working and making good money, it still felt like somebody else should be doing this. And I realized recently that I was still assigning my biological father, who I've seen 3 times since I was 5, that I was still assigning him the function of supporting me financially. And that in doing so, I was actually not empowering or feeling empowered myself to do that. And it's interesting. I actually cried about it. I actually could really feel deep inside me how painful that was that he was never able to do that. But I also saw the realities that it was not that he was unwilling, it was that he was unable, truly unable to do that. And he didn't do it when I was 2, 3, 4, 5. He's certainly not going to do it now. And when I forgave him, like really, really forgave him that function, it freed me up. I have no idea what it did for him. We didn't have a conversation about it, but it freed me up to not be resenting and upset about something that in reality was never, ever, ever going to happen. So what are some of the other things? Have we assigned our children? What functions have we assigned our children, our parents, our partners, our close friends? What function have we assigned our government, our religion, right? What function have we assigned to our own bodies? And are these working for us or not working for us? And really importantly, are these being communicated? So if you have a function that you've assigned somebody in your life and it's not one that you're willing to give up, you're like, no, I really, really need from my romantic partner, I really need such and such, then that needs to be communicated clearly. And for those of you who are single, I would really, when you're out there in the dating world and something is starting to seem like it might get serious, I would have this conversation. So what function have you assigned to marriage or to a serious, committed relationship? Whatever. This is a very, very, very powerful context and way to look at things. So I want to hear from you. What's a function that you've assigned subconsciously that you can now see and speak to? And are you going to forgive that? Are you going to let that go? And or are you going to communicate that? Now it's actually quite powerful to do both. It's quite powerful to communicate to someone in your life, wow, I have assigned you this function and I'm going to forgive that function. I'm going to let you off the hook, so to speak. And by doing so, let myself off the hook and be able to be with the reality of what's so in this relationship and let it be really truly what it is and not have that resentment and that bitterness and that upset and that breakdown around it. So share with me what you're seeing about this. I love you guys. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps these important messages get out there. And if you would love to have a daily message, you can join me over at coffeewithdonnie.com for only $11 a month.